Jesus prayed fervently in the Garden of Gethsemane that the cup would pass from him. He did not want to endure all of the suffering that he knew he was about to experience. He wanted another way to be provided for salvation to be offered to mankind. But no other way was provided. Instead, after Jesus finished praying, Judas came with a great multitude and betrayed Jesus. Jesus was immediately arrested. And then Jesus' apostle Peter, who was known for being impetuous, drew his sword to fight and cut off the right ear of Malchus, the servant of the high priest, as you can see in John 18, verse 10. Rather than fighting with Peter for his deliverance, Jesus instructed Peter to put away his sword, saying in Matthew 26 and verse 53, "Or do you think that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he will provide me with more than 12 legions of angels? How then could the Scriptures be fulfilled, that it must happen thus?" Let's recognize that Jesus went to the cross willingly. All of this teaches us that Jesus' arrest and crucifixion did not happen because his enemies were so much stronger than him. They did not overpower him and put him on the cross against his will. Furthermore, all of this teaches us that the Father would have saved Jesus if he requested to be saved. Yet all of this teaches us that Jesus Christ suffered willingly and died so that God's plan for saving mankind could be fulfilled. But what if Jesus had called 12 legions of angels to deliver him? You might note that a legion around the time of Jesus is believed to have consisted of 6,826 men. Well, what would history have recorded about Jesus? If Jesus had called more than 12 legions of angels, history may well have told about a man who lived on this earth claiming to be the Son of God. Maybe it would tell us about a man who performed great miracles of healing in front of people, making the lame walk, a man who could walk on water and still storms, and a man who raised the dead. Maybe history would tell us about a man who stood above all other teachers of his time and of all time. Yet the story would abruptly stop if Jesus had called more than 12 legions of angels. Well, what would man believe about God's love? Please recognize that God does not owe mankind anything. God loved man enough to give him life. God also gave mankind a perfect law to follow. The fact that man violated the laws of God is not God's fault. So God was under no obligation to save man from his own sin. Yet what would man likely believe about God's love if Jesus Christ chose to save himself rather than provide a sacrifice that could save everyone who was willing to obey him? How would Jesus have shown his great sacrificial love and glorify his Father if he had called more than 12 legions of angels? And what would it have meant for man's soul? Spiritual death, that separation from God is the consequence of sin, Romans 6, verse 23. Those who die physically while in sin will spend eternity in the torments of hellfire, Revelation 21 and verse 8. After a person commits sin, there is nothing he or she can do to earn salvation from that sin by himself or herself. The only possible way mankind could be saved was for God to provide the perfect sacrifice in Jesus Christ. So mankind would be hopelessly lost and doomed for destruction if Jesus had called more than 12 legions of angels. Of course, Jesus did not call even one angel. So we are only left to speculate about these other questions. Today, because Jesus did not call more than 12 legions of angels to deliver him, history has recorded the tremendous love that Jesus had for mankind and his willingness to sacrifice himself for sinners. Today, any person who learns about what God did for man in sacrificing Jesus Christ ought to be consumed by the great love of God. And today, all mankind has the opportunity to be saved from sin through the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ.